sharing with you in this video how to make creating natural. And it's not going to be what you actually think, because a lot of people, what they can fall into is sort of this feeling of everything that they want to create is just difficult. Like it's just not a part of who they naturally are and who they are. So how do you get to a point in your life where the thing that you want, the thing that you desire, it's just who you are? It's not this thing that you're trying to one day get to, or maybe you have a bad habit in your life. It's not going to be where it's like you're trying to let go of it. Like a popular thing that people do is like 20-day challenges to stop doing what they to stop the thing that they don't want to do anymore. That's a huge problem in mentality and attitude, because you can't have a challenge to stop doing something, because that implies that you're still this person that's trying to let go of the thing, where you have to make it so that it's just like you are already way past that, and who you are is a person that doesn't do that thing that you're trying to let go of. And then so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to make creating natural, and again, it's not going to be what you really think, is to have an understanding that yes, it is in fact normal to have what you want. It's just normal, and I want you to normalize having what you want. So no longer are you going to be in a position where you see having what you want as this outlandish thing that is out of your league or out of your reality. You're not within means. Now, I'm not saying to have an unrealistic goal that's going to make you have so much anxiety that you take no action at all. That's not going to help you in this situation. But what you want to do is, of course, have a realistic goal. But in the bigger picture, yes, of course, make it normal to have what you want. Make it normal to be a person that takes the small day-to-day action to help you get to the bigger goal. Make it normal to have the goal at all. And then to eventually make it normal that you are the end result, to have the thing that you want. So again, make it so that you're moment to moment taking realistic actions, and make that normal as well. But eventually you have to just give yourself permission and decide that simply, of course, it is the case that you already have what you want. And it is you already, and that there's nothing to fight for or to try or to hope for or to feel resistance about. It's like you have to claim that it is you, simply because you have the power to do so. Every single person has the power to do so. The question is, do you feel worthy enough to give yourself permission to just do it? To just activate that part of your mind, and then to ignore everything else that doesn't resonate for you. And you might think like, well, doesn't this mean that I'm naturally just going to be like an a-hole and like disrespect everybody and like be a not honorable person? No, what you'll find is that unless you own the fact that you have desires and that you want to create things, that's what makes people an a-hole. Is when they, what makes an a-hole? What makes a strong victim is a person that represses all of their desires and pretends that they have none when they do. And then they feel lots of guilt and they feel lots of shame, and they're a big victim in their life in general about everything, and they complain about everything. That's what creates a negative person, a person that's a victim, that complains, that thinks that they're not allowed to have desires. Desires are bad. This is the type of person that you're going to feel like is draining your energy and that you just don't really want to be around. But a person that claims their desire and just says that, it's normal for me to have what I want, what you'll find is that this just makes creating a very natural process that's very easy for you to just naturally transform into the person that you actually want to be in your life. And then so the second thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to make creating natural, and it's not what you think, is to stop attaching to strong emotional reactions. And this is really, really big, because what most people do when they imagine their desire, like they're thinking about their desire in their mind, is they imagine this big, happy, emotional moment of gratitude where it's like they finally have what they want, and then they're imagining like this one big moment that makes them feel so happy. And it's like, I really need you to understand that that's not what you're trying to imagine when you're trying to create what you want. Let me give you an invitation on what you should be imagining instead, or what I invite you to imagine instead, to make it easier and more natural to create what you want. So instead of imagining this big, strong emotional moment of happiness. You know what I mean? And I want you to consider for a second that that strong emotional of happiness is, of course, eventually going to turn into a big moment of sadness. Because something happy eventually is going to turn sad. So what we need to do is find the peace in between the two, and I'm going to share with you how to do that right now. So instead of imagining this big moment of happiness, which again, of course, is going to make you feel sad eventually if something goes wrong, what you want to do is imagine the day-to-day actions that you need to take in order to be already the person that has what you want. So think about who you would have to be every single day, what habits you would have to form, what actions you would have to take, and I want you to feel like the normal element of that, like the normalcy behind that, just the normal energy behind that. Just it is what it is. It's just who I am. It's like, oh hey, what do you do? This is what I do. That's just who I am. You know what I mean? And instead of making it this like, yeah, I'm aspiring to be this thing and it's making me, I'm trying really hard, and it's like, no, that's just, yeah, already this is just who I am. That's just, I've already decided that like 20 years ago, you know what I mean? And it's like, I took action every single day towards it. And even 20 years ago when I decided it, like, yeah, I knew that I was going to create it because I already made the decision. How do you become this person? Well, first of all, it comes with a strong decision. Of course, it comes with a strong decision to be who you want to be. And then secondly, what you want to do as well is just simply have a better expectation for what you should be imagining, or what I invite you to imagine, to have it so that it's much more natural. So again, what you want to do is focus on the day-to-day actions rather than this big outlandish moment where it's like one day it's going to make you feel super, super happy. It's like, no, just who would you be when you're not happy or sad, when you just feel peace? When you just feel in the middle. When you feel in the middle and you feel calm and you feel collected, and it's just that energy of being right in the middle, who would you actually be? This is who you want to imagine. And then so the final thing that I really want to share with you in this video to make creating natural, and again, it's not going to be what you think, is to understand that at the deepest level, at the most spiritual level, you do not own your body, your mind, or even anything that you desire in your life. Like anything that you think that you own, whether it's your house or your body or your mind, or like maybe all of your possessions, or maybe it's an emotion that you feel that you want to attach to it. We all want different things at different times, but the truth is that you own none of it. So whatever you want doesn't matter. I don't mean to say it in like a way where it sounds bad to have something. Of course, no guilt, no shame, no resistance. Whatever it is that you want in your life, understand that when you finally get it, you can't claim it or own it, ultimately speaking. You can't attach to anything that you're creating or want or have created or will create or anything. Because none of it is something that you can claim or own. It's not you, you know what I mean? Your desire is not you. When you finally have the house or the relationship or the thing that you want, understand that at the end of the day, it will all perish, it will all go. All of it will transform, all of it will change. You'll have it one moment and then the next moment you might not have it, because at the end of the day, you can focus on where you want things to go, but you can't control it. Now, of course, energy flows where attention goes. Obviously, put the most amount of attention and energy into the thing that you actually want in your life, but ultimately speaking, you cannot control it. You can't control people, you can't control your desire coming to you. You can only control your internal world and then the actions that you take on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis. But then even all of it is something you can't own. All you can do is sort of try to control where the energy goes, where your attention goes, but you can't control what is happening out there. Ultimately speaking, you have to give it up to the divine. You can try to control your thoughts, you can try to control your actions, you can try to control your emotions, you can try to control all these things, but ultimately speaking, if you give it back to the divine, if you give it back to God, if you give it back to the divine true consciousness, the truth of who you are, what you'll find is that it naturally becomes easier to create what you want because there's no attachment there. So when I say these things, you might feel a feeling of fear or anxiety or upset because it's like, well, if I have no control of how am I going to create what I want? But here's the thing, is that when you give up all your intention to the divinity of who you are, it becomes easier to control your mind again. It becomes easier to control your emotions. It becomes easier to get the desire that you have. oftentimes the people that you see that have the desires that you want, it's easy for them to achieve it because there's no attachment there. And then if they were to, again, get their ego involved and attached to it, they would find a way to blow it up and lose it. This is what you'll find. This is why 90% of lottery winners will lose their money in the first few years or something like this, or some statistic where it's like the first year, 5 years or something like this. Why is it the case? Because they're so attached to their prior reality that then when they get the new reality, they're attached to all that stuff that they were attached to, and then they find a way to go back to it. But if you realize that you don't own your mind, you don't own your body, you don't own your desire, you're free to transform and change from reality to reality with less resistance. So there's less resistance when it comes to shifting your identity from one identity to another identity because you realize that all of it is just stuff that you're creating that you can change moment to moment depending on what you feel like creating. And it's not this big outlandish thing where one day you feel happy. It's that you choose different versions of yourself depending on the moment. And that's who we naturally are as creators. Is we are people that I believe the nature of human existence is to create things from a state of it being normal. It's a normal part of who you are. It's not this big thing. It's just the way that it is. Why? Because simply you decide that, of course, it is the case.